A transmission, laced with static and arrogance, echoed through Earth's global communication network. An alien figure appeared on every screen, its gleaming black armor reflecting the cold light of distant stars. Behind it, a massive warship hovered in space, its silhouette blotting out constellations. People of Earth, I speak on behalf of the Galactic Empire. Your world is now under our dominion. To avoid annihilation, you will submit to our rule and provide tribute. Your resources, technology, and servitude will ensure your survival. Defy us, and your extinction is certain. The ultimatum reverberated across the planet. The Empire's emissary offered no timeline, no room for negotiation. Only a demand that hung heavy over humanity like a death sentence. Within hours, Earth's leaders convened, the unified Earth Council scrambling to make sense of the situation. Commander Carlos Beckett, a veteran of countless conflicts and leader of Earth's fledgling space force, stood in the center of the council chamber, his expression cold and resolute. The Galactic Empire had reached Earth sooner than anyone had predicted. Only whispers of their existence had spread through distant colonies, tales of entire star systems reduced to ash for failing to meet their demands. This is no different, Beckett growled, his steel-gray eyes scanning the room. They see us as another weak civilization ripe for conquest. Around the massive, circular table, political and military leaders from every corner of Earth debated the next steps. Some urged caution, suggesting negotiation, hoping to buy time to understand the Empire's true intentions. Others, their voices trembling, spoke of surrender, fearing the consequences of resistance. Beckett's patience snapped. He slammed his fist on the table, silencing the room. Negotiation? Surrender? Is that what we've become? The Empire doesn't want our cooperation. They want our submission. They see us as cattle, nothing more. Councilwoman Mira Dallas, one of the most respected voices on the council, met Beckett's gaze. Unlike him, she carried a different kind of strength, one of diplomacy and reason. We don't know their full capabilities, Commander. If what the stories say is true, their technology is beyond anything we've ever seen. A full-scale conflict could destroy us. They've already threatened that, Beckett countered. We've spent generations unifying this planet, building alliances, creating the strongest military in our history. Now's the time to show the galaxy who we are. We do not bow, not to anyone. A murmur of agreement spread across the room. Earth's history had been marked by defiance, against oppressors, against odds, against extinction. That defiance was in their blood. Councilwoman Dallas sighed, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on her. If we refuse, Commander, you know what this will mean. Billions of lives hang in the balance. Beckett nodded, his resolve unshaken. And if we surrender, we lose who we are. I'd rather die free than live as a slave. The room fell into a tense silence. Slowly, one by one, the council members raised their hands in agreement. Humanity had made its choice. Beckett straightened, the shadow of a smile touching his lips. Send them a reply. Tell the Empire that humanity does not pay tribute. If they want to fight, they'll get one. Outside, the stars seemed to burn brighter, as if the galaxy itself was bracing for the storm to come. The sky over Earth's military installation, Nova Command, was filled with the hum of engines and the thunderous roar of departing ships. The fleet was assembling, a gathering of humanity's finest vessels, a testament to the technological advancements forged in the fires of Earth's long, bitter conflicts. Massive cruisers, sleek destroyers, and agile fighters took their positions around the crown jewel of the fleet, the mothership Aegis. Its colossal hull gleamed, a fortress in space, designed to withstand the full fury of any enemy. Commander Carlos Beckett stood at the command deck of the Aegis, arms crossed, eyes scanning the holographic display of the fleet forming around him. Each ship was a symbol of Earth's defiance, and he could feel the weight of responsibility growing heavier with every passing moment. This was no longer a matter of pride or survival alone. This was about the future of humanity. Status report, Beckett called out, his voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the bridge. Captain Jonas Doherty, his trusted second-in-command, stepped forward. "All ships have reported in, sir. The fleet is fully operational. Munitions are stocked, and we're awaiting final orders." Beckett nodded, allowing himself a brief moment of satisfaction. The fleet had come together faster than anyone had expected. Engineers, soldiers, and scientists had worked around the clock, driven by a shared understanding that this mission would decide the fate of Earth. Yet beneath the efficiency and order, there was an undercurrent of tension. This was no ordinary enemy. They were facing an empire that had subjugated countless worlds, and humanity was about to test its mettle against a power that considered them insignificant. In the vast hangar below, elite squads of soldiers were preparing for what would likely be the most important fight of their lives. The best and brightest humanity had to offer. Beckett had personally overseen their selection. Strong, highly trained, and enhanced with cutting-edge combat gear and cybernetics. Each man was a living weapon, forged from Earth's finest genes and battlefield experience. Sergeant Ronald Hale was among them, his tall, muscular frame towering over most of his fellow soldiers. His reputation as a fierce warrior and tactical genius had earned him a place on this mission. He was one of the few who remained silent as his comrades cracked jokes and shared stories to ease the tension. Hale was focused, every movement deliberate, every thought trained on the battle ahead. He had seen enough war to know that fear, if unchecked, would kill you before the enemy did. "We've got this, Sarge," a soldier beside him said, adjusting his helmet. "They think they're gods, but they've never faced us before." Hale nodded, though his expression remained grim. They have no idea what's coming. Above, Beckett watched as the final preparations completed. Every screen around him displayed the growing might of Earth's combined forces. But it was more than ships and soldiers. It was a symbol of unity. The nations of Earth, once divided, had come together in a way that no one could have imagined just decades earlier. Now, they were sending a message to the stars. Humanity would not be broken. "Captain Doherty," Beckett said quietly, stepping forward to the center of the bridge. "Transmit the command. It's time." As the fleet began to move, engines igniting one by one, a sense of purpose filled the ship. Humanity's might, its defiance, was in motion. They were heading straight into the heart of the Galactic Empire, and they wouldn't stop until one side was destroyed. The black void of space stretched out before them, but the calm was deceptive. Somewhere ahead, in the dark, lurked the first line of defense from the Galactic Empire. The human fleet moved in tight formation, a silent armada cutting through the stars, led by the colossal Aegis. Inside its war rooms, tactical displays flickered, outlining the Empire's defensive positions. "They're close," Captain Doherty muttered, eyes fixed on the map. "We'll make contact within minutes." Commander Carlos Beckett stood behind him, his expression unreadable. His fingers drummed against the hilt of his ceremonial dagger, a relic from Earth's forgotten wars. The weight of the moment wasn't lost on him. This would be humanity's first true test against the Galactic Empire's military might. "Prepare all ships for combat," Beckett ordered, his voice steady. "And remind them, today we fight not for survival, but for dominance." As the fleet advanced, the enemy revealed itself. One by one, the massive silhouettes of Imperial warships flickered into view, each ship dwarfing most of the human vessels. Their hulls gleamed like the bones of ancient titans, bristling with energy weapons and shield generators. The Empire's fleet moved with mechanical precision, cold and calculating, as though they had already written humanity's defeat. "Arrogant," Beckett whispered under his breath. He had studied the Empire's tactics, their over-reliance on overwhelming force. They didn't expect a fight. They expected obedience. "Orders, sir?" Doherty asked, his voice tight with tension. "Let them come," Beckett replied, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "We'll show them how wrong they are." The first volley came without warning. Blazing beams of energy streaked toward the human fleet, illuminating the dark void like bolts of lightning. Human ships responded in kind, missiles and railgun fire erupting from the smaller frigates and destroyers. The battle began in earnest, the quiet of space shattered by the fury of war. Sergeant Ronald Hale stood inside one of the assault ships, the steady hum of engines vibrating through his bones. The soldiers around him braced themselves as the ship lurched forward, heading into the fray. The plan was simple: break through the enemy lines and land strike teams directly onto the Imperial ships to take out critical systems. It was a high-risk strategy, but one designed to exploit the Empire's overconfidence. "We're getting close," Hale said into his comms, his voice low but steady. "Stick to the plan. No heroics." His squad nodded in unison, their enhanced armor gleaming in the faint interior light. Every man here had trained for this moment, their minds sharpened for one purpose: victory. On the command deck of the Aegis, Beckett watched as his fleet danced through the storm of Imperial firepower. The Empire's ships were slow, cumbersome, built for imposing terror more than tactical flexibility. Humanity's ships darted between them, hammering weak points in their shields and engines, crippling the Empire's advantage piece by piece. "Now!" Beckett barked, leaning forward as his eyes locked on a vulnerable cruiser. The fleet responded as one. A series of coordinated strikes hit the Imperial cruiser, tearing it apart from the inside. Explosions rippled through its hull, and the ship collapsed in on itself, an enormous fireball blooming against a backdrop of stars. It was the first of many. On board the Aegis, the crew erupted in cheers, but Beckett remained focused. This was only the beginning. "Don't get cocky," he warned. "We're still in their territory. We hit hard, but we're not done." As the Imperial fleet began to buckle under the relentless assault, Beckett's eyes gleamed with cold determination. "We're going to break them," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "And then we'll push deeper." The first strike had been successful, but the heart of the Empire still awaited, and humanity was ready to meet it head-on. The burning remains of Imperial warships drifted through space like ghosts of a dying era. Humanity's fleet pushed ever closer to the heart of the Galactic Empire, cutting through the last vestiges of their once unstoppable armada. The Aegis led the charge, its immense cannons glowing with the heat of continuous fire. With each passing moment, they approached the capital world, the seat of the Empire's power. On the command deck, Commander Carlos Beckett stood tall, his gaze fixed on the looming planet before them. It was larger than Earth, its surface bristling with orbital defenses and glittering cities. Once, this world had symbolized the absolute authority of the Empire, but now it trembled beneath the shadow of humanity's wrath. "They're ready for us," Captain Doherty said, his voice tense as he studied the tactical display. "Their orbital cannons are locking onto our position." "Let them fire," Beckett replied, his tone cold. "We'll break through like we always do. Prepare the ground teams." Below deck, Sergeant Ronald Hale and his squad readied themselves for the final assault. The time for space combat was over. This battle would be won or lost on the ground. The soldiers moved in grim silence, their minds sharpened by the countless battles they'd fought to reach this moment. Hale checked his gear one last time, feeling the weight of the mission pressing on his shoulders. They were about to step foot on the Empire's capital, a place no human had ever dared to go. "We hit them fast and hard," Hale said to his team, his voice steady. "Once we're down, there's no turning back." The assault ships launched, cutting through the atmosphere as the fleet above engaged the Empire's last defenses. Anti-aircraft fire erupted from the ground, lighting the sky with bursts of energy, but the Aegis kept their path clear, decimating the enemy's artillery with precision strikes. Hale's ship shuddered as it broke through the upper atmosphere, descending rapidly toward the capital city. From the viewport, he saw a sprawling metropolis of gleaming towers and massive imperial banners. It was the seat of the Emperor's power, a world built on the subjugation of countless others. Today, that power would fall. The ship landed with a thud, the doors sliding open to reveal a battlefield of chaos. Imperial troops swarmed the streets, firing wildly as the human strike teams disembarked. Explosions rocked the ground, sending debris and bodies flying. Hale led his squad forward, his enhanced reflexes making him a blur as he cut down Imperial soldiers with deadly precision. We pushed to the palace. Hale shouted over the roar of battle. That's where this ends. Meanwhile, on the Aegis, Beckett watched the progress of the ground teams with narrowed eyes. The Imperial capital was crumbling, but the true prize still awaited: the Emperor himself. The Empire's last hope rested in their leader, and Beckett knew they had to eliminate him to break the Empire completely. "Bring me the Emperor," Beckett commanded, his voice a low growl. "Alive, if possible." Hale's team tore through the Imperial forces, leaving devastation in their wake as they approached the massive palace gates. The Emperor's guards, clad in shining armor, put up a fierce resistance, but they were no match for humanity's finest. Hale drove his blade to the last of them, kicking open the palace doors. Inside, the Emperor waited. He stood alone in the grand hall, draped in regal robes, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and disbelief. For the first time in his reign, an enemy had breached his throne room. "You've lost," Hale said, his voice cold, his weapon still drawn. The Emperor fell to his knees, his pride shattered as he surrendered. The Galactic Empire, once invincible, had fallen. Back on the Aegis, Beckett received the transmission from Hale. The Emperor was in custody. The war was over. Beckett exhaled slowly, a sense of triumph settling over him. "It's done," he said, turning to the crew. "We won." But even as the Empire crumbled, Beckett's mind was already racing, thinking ahead. Humanity had claimed victory, but with it came a new responsibility. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were now the rulers of the stars.